I did not say Brian Kelly's going to Michigan if Harbaugh leaves. I did not say that. If Harbaugh goes and coaches the Chargers and Michigan is open, if Michigan pursues Brian Kelly, he would leave LSU for Michigan.
So that was a fucking lie.
All right, Pot of Gold. Welcome back. I'm Brett. I'm here with Mike, Grant the intern, in his girl dad hat behind the glass, running the boards in a remote location. A lot of things have changed since we've last talked, buddy.
A lot's been going on.
Our pets' heads are falling off. We got no OC. Our coach is leaving. Yeah, I don't know, Mike. Where do you hit us up on Twitter at potofgold@gmail.com, at goldmike.
Yeah, there's a lot.
How was New York?
Yeah, right. So I feel like the last time we talked, I was about to head to New York. There's going to be some Heisman situations. And, going to New York was amazing. It was awesome. Obviously, I did not go to the ceremony itself, but I was in Times Square during all the pictures and all that good stuff. It was a blast. With that being said, I feel like that is like 2 years ago, and a lot's been going on since then. Chestnut in the transfer portal. Breaking news from our boy Gerald. Awesome. But I feel like yes, it's breaking, and it's just kind of like confirmation. All the news that's been coming out about LSU and like the kids leaving is just like confirmation. It's not like surprising.
Yeah.
With the exception of Quincy Wiggins, I think that was the only one that I was kind of like, interesting. Everybody else, Goodwin, the list goes on of guys that
Marlon Martinez, guys that you're just like, okay, they're getting passed up, they're out of here. But Chestnut in the portal is certainly newsworthy, as we've been waiting on that, and we don't know what's going on with Denver Harris. But of all the stuff that's happened, I think it's very fitting that we lead the show with a Deuce and Denver update.
Deuce, Denver, Moscona update. But we want to talk about a lot of things, right? I mean, portal situations, the recruiting class, the 2024 signing class. Denbrock goes to Notre Dame. Matt House still has a job, and we are here waiting.
Heads are falling off.
We're waiting on a bowl game, man. And Jaden Daniels won the freaking Heisman. That's the last time we talked. So obviously, very excited for Jaden. Well deserved. He has opted out of the bowl game, rightfully so. I mean, the dude could do nothing but injure himself at this point. I think his health for the NFL Combine and obviously having a good showing there only solidifies himself as a top 10 NFL draft pick. And, some people are talking about even a top 5. So really crazy, incredible turnaround, incredible development from this offensive staff. Joe Sloan, had a strong hand in that. But make no mistake, losing Mike Denbrock, in my opinion, is a big deal. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I think he had a strong hand in the development of Jaden Daniels and creating opportunities for him to succeed. But let's not lose sight of the work ethic of Jaden Daniels and the natural athletic ability that he was able to showcase on a stage like LSU to really get him over the top with a historically putrid defense. So shout out to Jaden.
He seemed like a great leader to come in this like new era of LSU football. Like, it's awesome that he gets to go out with a Heisman. Obviously, I think we all wish we were in a playoff and had the opportunity, but vote was closer than I thought. I thought it was a little bit of like we're just drumming up a little drama, but Bo Nix and Penix would kind of split the West Coast vote, and Jaden would dominate everywhere else. And I mean, he kind of did Jimbo for OC.
I don't know, Bob.
I don't know, Jim. But yeah, I mean, it is weird. It's kind of And I guess the same with Joe Burrow, and we had it a little bit with Mettenberger, but it's just kind of weird to like have your quarterback. He's amazing. He's gone. Like it felt like it just happened so quickly where normally we have like years of being like talking ourselves into certain guys. So good for him. Like you said, I mean, not that many teams are going to be able to pass up on him. Look at the quarterback play that was happening over the weekend. Like someone's going to take him. Good luck.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to be an excellent quarterback in the NFL. I really do. And I think it's going to take some time wherever he lands. It's not going to be Lamar Jackson, the second he walks into a new team, especially a team that's probably struggling mightily. Give Jayden some time, and I think that kid's got a great head on his shoulders and is going to be a dynamic player in the league. Excited to see, and it's great that we're going to have Burrow and Jayden both, representing LSU with class at the best position in football. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. But yeah, dude, holiday season has been great. For everybody that's been tweeting at us to get back on the pod, we appreciate the support. We needed to have some time off. We took a little breather. It's really there's a lot to talk about now. But a week to week, no games. Yeah, we deserve a little vacation. We also don't get paid for this pod.
Yeah, they can go fuck themselves.
No,
Yeah, we got fired. I think Denbrock might be the best place to start. And then that kind of leads into the Scone Man.
Yeah, we'll get to Scone Man in a little bit. Pretty heated about Scone Man right now, but we'll get to that in a second. And for those of you who are just catching up to the live stream, the beginning of this podcast is worth a listen. For those of you listening traditionally on a podcast,
we can play it again if you'd like.
Tomorrow.
Oh, it'll get played again.
We'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm sure you'll be well aware of hearing all of the commotion soon enough. But Mike Denbrock was rumored to go to Notre Dame as a lateral move for the offensive coordinator position at Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman for about 2 days. And it only took about 2 days of rumors before it was inked on paper that Denbrock was out of here and headed back to South Bend, where he had previously been prior to taking the Cincinnati job. So he's got familiarity there.
He's a Midwest guy, man.
It's been talked about a lot. He's got family up there. I get it.
I'm sick of seeing that.
Yeah, I do agree with this, though. This is not a I had to get the hell out of LSU type of thing. I feel like if that was the case, he'd be at A&M right now.
Yeah,
there is some truth, I would think, into this whole maybe we didn't get our deal done fast enough. I think that was started by Matt Moscona. He was the one that kind of let that one out the bag, that the LSU brass took time on finalizing Denbrock's extension and allowing him to take a job like the Notre Dame gig. I even if that's true, part of me feels like if you go back in time to when Brian Kelly was searching for an offensive coordinator when he was first hired, and he obviously went after Tommy Rees, and that didn't work out. It's very well documented that was his choice. Obviously, that continuity of carrying over his current OC would have been fine, and we understand why he would pursue his current OC and DC. He went after Marcus Freeman. Marcus got the head coaching job. Imagine Tommy Rees.
Nobody wants to coach for Brian Kelly, Mike.
Right, even though those guys did. And so now, let's stay in the back of time there, and we get Mike Denbrock. And really the focus was, well, here's a guy that'll be here for a couple of years. He's not a long-term OC. He's a lot older. He's obviously not pursuing head coaching gigs. He wants to be an OC. He's an OC. He knows
Ensminger-ish.
He was Ensminger-ish. But in a sense that Brian Kelly really has a system. He has an understanding of what he wants out of an offense. And in order to do that on a very elementary level with a team that is just lost and has no direction, let's get Mike Denbrock in here where we can really break the nuts and bolts down of what is truly behind this offense. And then once it starts excelling, then we can bring in that young, aggressive play caller once this system is kind of laid out. And so I'm not saying it's not a big loss, because it is. I think Mike Denbrock was a very foundational piece of what Brian Kelly was trying to do here and what he did here. but the offense is smooth sailing, in my opinion, when it comes to the system. And he's a great coach, but at the end of the day, I think his job was done. I think what we wanted him originally for, he accomplished. He has to nail this next hire. Make no mistake. Like, we need a dude to be the OC. We can't go back to an Ensminger following an Ensminger, if you catch my drift.
Can't double stamp an Ensminger.
You can't double stamp a triple stamp. And I think that he is going to make a move here. Dude, there's a lot of, and let me go back to saying this. So with that, I think Denbrock rides this out for like 2 to 3 years at Notre Dame and he retires. I think this is a final retirement gig. I'm out of here. I made my money at LSU. You know, I kickstarted my retirement fund and I got it. I cashed in at Notre Dame, close to family, and I can ride this into the sunset. Thank you. Job well done. That's kind of how I'm looking at this right now. Is the timing of this a little unfortunate? Yeah. I think maybe BK wasn't aware of how soon this transition would happen. I think Denbrock leaving and retiring is something that was always going to happen, but maybe 1-2 more years later, not after 2 seasons. And that's evident by the extension that we tried to get him to sign. That failed.
This is not the coach leaves and let's just like talk shit about him. We didn't want you anyway.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously Denbrock's a good coach, Broyles finalist, but, like, we weren't doing any, like, super innovative stuff on offense. We had the best quarterback in the country. You know, look, Denbrock played a hand in that. We had a very dynamic quarterback with great foot and arm talent. I know everyone likes those
great
words.
feet.
And then you had elite receivers and also growing into a elite offensive line. Like, this is not, I don't even know what to compare it to. It's like when Joe Brady left, you're just like, fuck, are we going to go back to this basic stuff again where it's like it doesn't look great anymore? Like, was he the guy dialing up all this great stuff? It's like, you did a great job. You installed the foundation of Brian Kelly's offense at LSU. Thank you. Have fun. Like, if that's where you want to be. And this will kind of go into the whole Brian Kelly to Michigan thing. But like, Brian Kelly came in and said he took this job because he wanted to compete in the SEC and he wanted to compete against the best talent in America, the best coaches, blah, blah, blah. If Denbrock wants to go to Notre Dame and play that half Big Ten, half whatever independent schedule and like cruise in, like you said, ride yourself into a nice little, you know, you probably get into the playoff at Notre Dame at a 10 seed. Fine, good luck, like, thank you, but I'm not going to sit here and like cry over it. I don't necessarily think it's like the automatic promote Joe Sloan. I like Sloan a lot. It would suck if he would be a casualty of this because we hired someone else, but you're LSU. You don't just have to like promote the guy. Like, you go get an elite offensive coordinator if you can. I know the Washington guy's been brought up some as a name.
He has. So in my opinion, and it's tough because you've got 2 guys in the co-offensive coordinatorship going into this bowl game with Hankton and Sloan. There's obviously aspirations for a coordinator position in their future, right? Like, that's what they want. And you have 2 guys that are going to be given an opportunity to, you know, they have a couple weeks to kind of game plan and call some plays. This is not a audition for the job. In my opinion, I think this is just 2 very competent individuals that are given an opportunity to coach a bowl game and to coach a young quarterback, not really a young quarterback, young in the sense of reps and starting reps to come in and dude, huge coming in with the Winn-Dixie listening threw me off. But thank you for listening. But I do feel like Joe Sloan is probably going to be the guy. And I think
I kind of do too. I don't hate that.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those where it's weird, man. Like, I feel like Brian Kelly takes chances on his coordinator positions, but they typically hit. Like, if you look at his track record at Notre Dame, not everybody was like very proven. Some of them, they weren't first-time coordinators by any means, but not a lot of them had this that he didn't go plucking coordinators from Alabama or the top teams. Like Tommy Rees played for him. Now Tommy Rees is, Nick Saban's little right-hand guinea pig, whatever.
2 months ago was called, fucking penis head. What Paul Feinbaum said he was committing malpractice against the Alabama program. Never forget.
Yeah, so I think Sloan is one of those guys that if we go outside and we hire an OC, Sloan's leaving. Like, there's no reason to have a quarterback coach with a quarterback coach, OC, right? And generally, your hot up and coming quote unquote OCs are quarterback coaches. They're not going to be a tight ends coach that comes in and takes the place of Denbrock. So you have to think that you're going to lose Sloan if you bring in another OC. Sloan will be an OC then somewhere else. He's not going to take a lot. Like, he is very highly regarded. People think of him as the next, up and coming guy in the industry when it comes to quarterback coaching and offensive mindsets. It's the play calling in-game experience that he lacks. Is LSU a place where you cut your teeth in that? Absolutely not. But I think Brian Kelly understands the importance of continuity in the building right now, continuity with Nussmeier, and the offense is established with what Denbrock really organized and orchestrated under Kelly, which it is Kelly's system. Make no mistake, like Brian Kelly has as a personnel where there's always a tight end in the field. You always have great offensive linemen. Like, we have that depth and that foundation set up for at least another 4 years. So you put in a guy that's hungry and growing and that has a great relationship with the quarterback room. And let me remind everybody, is the main only reason why Bryce Underwood is interested in LSU. I wouldn't do it just for a recruit. I think he has more value than that. But I think if I'm a betting man, which in Florida where I live now, they just passed it and I can bet again, so I'm in. I would bet on Joe Sloan being the pick. Am I head over heels for it? Not really, but I think it could work. And I'm optimistic if it happens. I like the guy. I think he's great. But like, if you have a chance to get Washington's OC instead,
you might have to take it.
You might have to take that because like he's going to be able to recruit as well by being able to develop the type of guys like Penix and everybody in his past of where he's been outside of Washington. So, and a guy that turned down Alabama last year and was the first plan for Nick Saban outside of Tommy Rees.
Here's kind of how I feel. If you want to give it to Sloan and not give it, it's earned, whatever. But if you want to pass the torch to Sloan and have Hankton's be this passing game coordinator, like if you want to play these bullshit games, then we 1000% can't be walking in with Madhouse and company next year.
Fuck no.
Like that is brewing for a disaster. I just remember the last time we went co-offensive coordinators. The offense wasn't even that bad, but like the defense all of a sudden shit the bed. We already have the defense that shit the bed. Like we can't have this double-edged sword of like, if you want it to be like, hey, we're bringing in 2 new coordinators, you're going to give it a year. If Sloan sucks, we'll fire him and figure it out. Like I'm almost more okay with that. But if I feel like if we're going to run it back with House, which I still don't think we are, I think you have to go get like the biggest name OC you can find.
And that's exactly. You have to be elite on defense if you're going to have this continuity type of mindset with Sloan taking over the offense. And our boy E, who, by the way, I'm not going to, you can put his name up there. E hit me up on Twitter.
Emil,
he hit me up. I didn't want to dox him. But he gave us that video of Scone, but it was actually Bilbo Baggins from Tiger Droppings that originally had that. But E definitely wanted us to have that within the episode. It's in the intro. We're going to get into Scone again in a second here. But he does bring up a point about Hankton. And here's the deal. I'm not discrediting Hankton. The reason, like, I think they're both elite. I think Hankton would leave too if he was talked about as, I have my name in the hat, I'm interviewing, and someone else comes in and they're a wide receiver coach too. Like, Hankton's fucking bouncing. Like, that dude's elite as well. And he's an up and comer. I just think that Sloan has the OC at La Tech in his portfolio where and he's one-on-one with Nussmeier in the development of Jaden Daniels and the quarterbacks, that the slight edge would go to Sloan in that matter. Nothing against Hankton.
I love Hankton's. I love that
Yeah.
Hankton's in his first press conference said we're going to be the team blocking downfield and being
He's
nasty, and that's what's happened. Like, I love this dude, but if you're kind of like, I don't even know how to put it, but it's like if you air quote spurn Hankton's and give it to Sloan, Hankton's is already at like the elite LSU wide receiver. Like, he's at that pinnacle. He left Georgia wide receiver to LSU. So I don't think he's going to go anywhere else to be the wide receiver coach. And at this point, he may not have the opportunity to get an OC next year. So it's almost like you're more likely to keep Hankton's with Sloan than Sloan with Hankton's. I mean,
yeah, and
I
you want to
feel
keep both those guys. Like, that's the key, is like both those guys are really good recruiters, and couple that with Brad Davis. That is
a better offensive staff.
That is a staff that is fully aligned, fully bought in, and recruiting well at a high level. And all of them could be interim coaches, right? Like Brad Davis was the interim head coach at one point. Like, all of those guys are going to be able to elevate their career. I hope we hold on to Hankton as long as possible. I could see Hankton definitely wanting to be an OC. I mean, like, this is a guy that's going to want to be a head coach, and he can. I don't know if he's going to get it here just because of the lack of quarterback development. That seems to be a very strong emphasis in the Brian Kelly structure, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not saying Hankton's couldn't get an OC job. Just feels like late in the process of, like, you know, a lot of teams across college football are mildly settled, at least through bowls. Like, I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that we're going to remove key card access to a few people after the bowl game. But I don't know. Just playing out all the scenarios in my head. Like, I think if you're promoting within, you kind of have to do the whole, like, Sloan, he's with Nussmeier, he's the guy.
Yeah.
I just think you have to play that.
Yeah. And so with that,
as much as I love Hankton's, we can find a lot of good guys who could coach up #1 wide receivers in the state. It's like,
I think the Hankton situation is a little bit deeper because of his roots in New Orleans. Like, it's Frank Wilson, right? Like, he is a younger Frank Wilson and a younger Corey Raymond, in a sense, where it's like, he can be a name, he can be a destination type of coach. Like, I'm gonna go where Hankton goes because I want to be developed by Hankton. Like, and we have that luxury of him being local, where it plays in our favor. So holding on to him is extremely important. But I get that, and it is crazy how great the offensive staff is. We need to make the defensive staff just as good, and I think it's a no-brainer. I do not think we should keep Matt House. Like, I know we're still dragging this out, and everyone keeps saying, wait until after the bowl season, there's going to be changes. Hell, Polian took until February. Nick Saban didn't hire his coordinators till February. I get all of that. There's just a lot of chirping and a lot of smoke about House being retained and just replacing the position coaches. And I from my eyes, and obviously we don't know shit, we're not in the fucking locker room, but there's more at play here than just technique being off. You have to be able, as a coordinator, to take over the defense and say, you know what, fuck it, our kids aren't grasping this concept, but you know who is? Harold Perkins, and we're gonna just make him an edge rusher and fucking blow shit up. Or let's hey, if Toviano does one thing correctly, let's do that one thing. Like, there was nothing creative about what we did on defense at all to put Band-Aids over the bigger issue. This is not a Band-Aid fix. This is an open heart surgery, and you can't just piecemeal that with staff position coaches, in my opinion. I think House needs to leave. I think you need a full overhaul of that defensive staff. Thank you for grinding out the season. Thank you for finishing your obligation to this team for the bowl game.
We're gonna pay you not to coach. Like, let's it's not like poor pitiful Matt House is walking on eggshells all day.
One positive that I have confidence in this staff, or at least what Brian Kelly's about to do, that obviously we're waiting for something to happen defensive staff wise, is that we just signed 27 for 27 recruits. I don't know exactly how many of them were defensive players, but there were no flips. There were no flips. There were no weird things that happened and some transfers. So it's like, if all those guys are that committed and wanted to sign early, then that means that we're telling them something.
We're telling them something.
Some sort of confidence.
It was very evident that this is the worst defense of all time. Like, we know that. LSU, the worst LSU defense ever, and it was talked about ad nauseum. And it was highlighted by the fact that you had the Heisman Trophy winner. Everyone knew the reason why it was such a big deal was because you've got a guy like Jayden Daniels not competing in the playoffs because of the defense at LSU. If you're a recruit, you hear that. At the same time, you've got to see guys like Gabriel Relaford, who was committed to A&M for a very long time, visit LSU and commit essentially on the spot after his visit without a D-line coach, with all the rumors about the worst defense ever and this place sucks, all the fire, not rumors, but the talk. They've got to be buying into that at some point. They've got to be buying into something they're serving, and they can't be serving, hey, Coach Lindsey's healing up faster than we thought, and he'll be back on the field. It's like, well, sign me up.
Dry as fuck.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're going to get him back, and then the defense is going to improve under Matt House, and we'll be good to go.
Do not underestimate Pete Jenkins selling people in the living room.
I think it's deeper than that. I think this is hey, we are replacing the defensive coaches. This is who we have targeted. This is who we have interest in. This is who has taken the job but can't announce it yet. Like, all of that stuff, I feel like is talked about with these recruits, specifically the guys we're still recruiting. Guys like Dominic McKinley, a guy that's 5-star, Acadiana defensive lineman, Acadiana Rams, lit up like a Christmas tree. Long time commitment to A&M, decommits, pushes his date back, right, to February. These guys are waiting to see what happens at LSU. They're waiting to see, is there any stability on this defensive side of the football, any changes, any momentum that we should sign for? I think that's all good signs and good positive encouragement that there is going to be changes. And I think it's beyond position coaches, in my opinion. I think it's beyond that.
It's head coaches?
No, I think Matt House gets let go. I really do. I think all of this, it's just position coaches, is people not wanting to get burned. And I'm one of those. I don't want to get burned. I don't think bringing in Bo Davis and Chevis Jackson or bringing Corey Raymond back solves everything. I think you need new blood coordinating that whole side of the football.
I agree.
I don't know.
The one thing I will say about signing day, and it's like, man, do I miss the signing day we used to have. Like, LSU posted, or people posted,
Gosh,
like, 27 out of 27 commits before 11 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I miss sweating out all day to watch some random ass stream from a high school at 4:30 where a dude might pull a live animal out on the table. Like, I do. I miss old signing day. But topic of conversation over Christmas is like, oh man, LSU's ranked 10, 11th in the recruiting rankings. Like, Brian Kelly can't recruit. I'm like, well, hold on.
Got up to 9.
But all that's been said for years is that, like, you have to just recruit Louisiana, like you have to take all these guys. And we took 8 out of the top 10, 9 out of the top 10, whatever it was. And so it's like, if that's what you want, then you have to just say, like, fuck the rankings, because we're rolling with these LSU dudes. And then also it just is like only going to matter about the transfer portal.
Yeah. And I think Brian Kelly, he's made a lot of good use out of the transfer portal. Last season, he didn't hit it, right? He hit it and it didn't actually hit on the field. It didn't produce. The year before it did. Jayden Daniels, fucking Mekhi Gardner, Jared Bernard Converse, Mekhi Wingo. I mean, like, he hit on the portal. The year later, he didn't. Now, I think the plan, though, with that being said, is that he doesn't want to be portal dependent. He wants to be able to use the portal for a handful of guys as depth, right? Like bringing in AJ Swan from Vanderbilt to compete with Nussmeier. is a testament to their confidence in Nussmeier. They could have easily ponied up the dough and gone after Dante Moore. They could have gone after Dylan Gabriel. Like, we just won the Heisman, dude. Like, anybody, right? And so, like, they're confident in Nussmeier, but they need competition. They need depth, and they need him to not feel too comfortable. They want him to continue to progress and know if he fucks up, you've got somebody that can come in and, you know, keep the game alive until Nuss figures it out. That's what the portal is for in the eyes of Brian Kelly, not Lane Kiffin in the eyes of Brian Kelly. There is no right and wrong, in my opinion. It's just the world we live in. If you're going to slack on the high school recruits and go all in for the portal, more power to you. I just don't think that's what our strategy is. And so far, it's a little frustrating because it takes time for that development, especially when you're not confident in the coaches that are developing these players. And so I think that's where the frustration is with the class. It's not necessarily the ranking. It's the, hey, where are the immediate impact guys? Because we don't, like, if Matt House is still the fucking coach, we don't have Terry Bussey coming through or, you know, Walter Nolan coming in next week to overcome the deficiencies of the lack of coaching. So it's an odd period for us to just kind of wait and see. This bowl period is fucking useless, and it should be expedited and cut in half, and we should already be in the national championship. But with that being said, I think changes are afoot. They're coming, and I don't know, a week and a half, we'll probably have some new coaches, and we'll be back on a podcast and talk about all these new coaches. What I don't think we're going to be talking about is Brian Kelly going to Michigan. And, you know, I think, Grant, just play the clip, because this was started by Matt Moscona of ESPN, 104.5 Baton Rouge, and it was put together in a clip. So
I did not say Brian Kelly's going to Michigan if Harbaugh leaves. I did not say that. If Harbaugh goes and coaches the Chargers and Michigan is open,
right there,
Michigan
it's the pause.
Pursues Brian Kelly, he would leave LSU for Michigan.
So that was a fucking lie.
We didn't put that last part in. That's Bilbo Baggins.
Look, honey. We got to tell the kids we're putting the dog down.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
This is the situation. This is why I'm aggravated by this. You know for a fact it's Christmas. People are just waiting for anything to come out, right? Like, we're refreshing at the dinner table. We're looking on On3. We're on Tiger Droppings. We're on the coaches board, recruiting board, and the rant back and forth, threefold, back and forth, back and forth. Guess what Moscona does? He pops out his little morning scone, waking up. Matt Moscona treats his fan base like they're pieces of shit, by the way. Every time he talks to them, like, it's almost like this arrogant attitude of so much better than all of them. You know, like, what are you thinking? That's a stupid take. This is a stupid take, whatever. By the way, don't go to Don Juan Cigar Bar and stand behind that dude, because he'll freak out and, oh, you know, we're trying to do a show here, but, like, let's go to a bar and do it. Anyway, that's a different segment entirely. The point of this is, it's an opinion. It's an opinion of, like, you and I, all three of us here, could sit back and say, could we see Brian Kelly in Michigan? Could we see Brian Kelly on the sideline at the University of Michigan? Yeah, I could probably see that. He's a northern guy. He's from he coached at Notre Dame, so he's got that blue blood vision of up north football. But, like, sitting back and claiming that if offered he would take it, if you don't think that that's going to create a firestorm, that's insane. Okay,
almost
that's
dropped an R-bomb there.
I did not almost. That was not almost an R-bomb. That ridiculous. You're ridiculous. No, you can't float that out there weeks before Bryce Underwood. Go to a different song, dude. This is killing me. Like, there's got to be another song. Give me another one.
Breaking the fourth wall.
There we go. That's better. Here's the
vibe
deal.
To this.
Here's the deal. The reason it's not what he said. It's when he said it and how he said it. It's the pause. It's the I'm about to deliver some news to all you peasants, and here's my take on if he's offered the job. He won't apologize. He won't come out and say, you know what, this was taken out of context, but I did fuck up here, right? Like, I can see how this was taken out of context. Yes, I did say he would take the job. Do I think he would take the Michigan job if offered? I personally do. That's what he should say. But he knows with his platform, context is not something that you are granted. You don't have the luxury of playing a full 20-minute video with HUDCO roofing ads to explain what you meant by Brian Kelly going to Michigan. Now, this whole Christmas break,
so fucking funny. I'm sorry.
This whole Christmas break, you have to listen to people talk about, is Brian Kelly going to Michigan? You had Dave Portnoy retweeting shit about, we don't want Brian Kelly going to Michigan. This was fucking Lucci from A&M, who openly said he hates LSU and was pissed off that they're quote unquote sabotaging their recruiting. Billy Lucci from Texas goes out and says, I hate LSU. They're tampering with our recruits. And he throws out a rumor about Brian Kelly potentially being a top candidate to replace Harbaugh. And it's completely to sabotage or to counter attack our attack on the recruiting class. What idiot with a Baton Rouge ESPN platform would repeat that type of fuel to create this type of forest fire? My point is, own up to it. Everybody has to own up to their mistakes every now and then. And I think now's a good time to do it. We're entering the new year. We really need to be positive about who we are. And sometimes we're wrong, and that's okay. We're here as a podcast to throw wrong takes out left and right. But that's not our job. Our job isn't to deliver the news. So next time you join Morning Scone, take it with a grain of salt. Don't dive into Morning Scone as if it's gospel. Because at the end of this day, this guy's an asshole. He's a tool. And he really just wants to pretend to be the smartest man in Baton Rouge. And at the end of the day, it created a firestorm. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think he meant to hurt the fan base or to hurt the program. But this was all just so he can come back and say, see, I told you. I told you, right? Like throwing shit to the wall. This is the wrong time for an I told you. This was the wrong time for an I told you when we're recruiting Bryce Underwood in a matter of weeks. When we're holding together this class by the tips of our fingers. Not the right time. Not the right time to be starting these type of rumors. But I expected this from Billy Lucci. I didn't expect this from Matt Moscona. We deserve an apology. Not a, this is what I said, y'all took it out of context. An apology.
And here are 5 reasons why Pot of Gold is better than Matt Moscona.
No, and that's not what we do. That's not what we do. We're a bunch of fucking like dudes chilling in a back bedroom shooting the shit, and we just have a bunch of listeners, right?
Greg in the chat doing like independent research, going back 8 years to see if Moscona episodes are still available. Like that's the type of dedication we like on the pod.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We love that. But that's not it. The whole point of this is, what we say, no one gives a fuck, right? Like this is just fun fan banter. If we are on that platform, we can't say that type of shit and then sit back and be like, well, I didn't say that. You did. You did. You know what I'm saying? Like you were wrong. And it wasn't the place for you to take the high and mighty, like, I know more than you. I know that he would take this job, just so you and like your 20 friends around the neighborhood in Baton Rouge can be like, well, did you hear Scone thinks that Brian Kelly would actually go to Michigan? Dude, you have a bigger platform than that. Act like you've been there before.
Also, I don't really feel like he would go to Michigan. Maybe that's crazy. And like,
I could see him at Michigan. Does that mean I think he would take that job? No.
if
And
things
all it is
maybe-
it's a fit. All it is a fit.
if things maybe hadn't gone well year 1, year 2 at LSU, like sure, whatever. But I don't know. And everyone keeps posting the clip of Brian Kelly when asked about, I don't even know what job it was, A&M, whatever. And Brian Kelly talked about, oh, this is my, like, I don't care that Brian Kelly went out in his press conference and said, I'm not leaving LSU. Like,
Right.
college football coaches lie. That's one of their main occupations. But I don't see uprooting your whole career at Notre Dame to come to the SEC, and I'm air quoting here, to play against the best competition, to play against the best coaches, to be there, to be at a school like LSU where you're looking around like, fuck, man, this is probably better athlete wise than I even thought I was gonna be able to do, with guys like Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels and Harold Perkins. To then just be like, that 2 years of building this back up, I'm just gonna go take over Michigan. Hopefully we can win a playoff game. Like, I just don't see that.
You can keep the music going just for a few more minutes. Just a few more minutes, please.
Some people are going to be so pissed about the music.
This-
it was so funny.
That's perfect. This is the music segment. BK to Michigan. I was about to say Miles to Michigan. BK to Michigan. We have to have music because it's not true.
But what a fucking timeline we'd live in, that Les Miles, Michigan man through and through, played for Bo Schembechler, turns down Michigan to stay at
then
LSU,
BK.
have a great day. Brian Kelly comes with no Michigan ties. We thought he'd retire at Notre Dame. Instead, he's our guy, and he's going to lead us to another one. And then he just rolls the first chance he gets. Like,
If he leaves for Michigan, then something is truly wrong internally, and we need to take a closer look at Scott Woodward. I don't think that's the case. I simply think, and maybe I'm delusional, maybe I'm an idiot, maybe Matt Moscona is on to something, but I don't think that's the case. And even if it is the case, don't fucking start that rumor. Let Michigan be the ones to sabotage it. Don't internally sabotage it. But I don't see it happening, man. I don't see that happening. I think Brian Kelly truly wants to win here. And I think there's a lot of talk right now about LSU not making moves and not being serious. And, oh, they're not even going to be in the top 25 going into next season. Give us a couple weeks. Let's see what kind of coaching changes happen. Let's see what this looks like going into next season. Because he has to make moves for this to work.
I do want to,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do think this is a good kind of topic to talk about, because it's like he burned his bridges with the last coaching staff and Ed
Talking about
Orgeron and all that stuff. Talking about Matt Moscona and Greg in the chat says, and he just poured gasoline and lit the match on this one. I think he did it on purpose. I think he realized that being the one anti-Orgeron guy really played. And, I think you see some of this with Jordy too, where it's just like, well, if I'm like the renegade here who's talking shit, everyone else is loving where we're going and everything. That's how I get my clicks, and that's how I get it. And I think it's like you get a taste of that sweet nectar of being the heel, and you're just like, you know what? I was pro Brian Kelly, but I kind of like being the bad guy. And I definitely think that could be at play here.
He is a bad guy, and that's the thing. All we saw after this firestorm happened. Here's the deal. This is when it really fucking started to irk me, dude.
This music, just calling him a bad human. This music
was whenever he didn't reply to anything on Twitter, like to all the people flipping out about that video, and then his next post is like a bunch of stuff praising like St. Jude's Medical Center, and like I'm like, dude, you cannot use Cancer Kids as a smokescreen to ignore the shit show you just started, dude. Like, he wants people to believe he's a good guy so bad. And if you go back and you watch his video from this morning, it's like, hey, motherfuckers, y'all just want me to address the elephant in the room, but I had a great Christmas. This is Christmas time. I'm off all week. I don't need to be here. Like, it was such like a fucking, like, I know what you want and I'm ready to attack it, but I'm a nice guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy.
I've been around Christmas all week. Has has anyone been defending him? Any of his
Been around
fans?
Christmas all week. What does that mean?
Yeah, what is it?
I've been
I thought we all-
tangentially
Let me read.
tangentially aligned with
I-
Santa for
I
months.
Let me rephrase this.
I
Let me rephrase
I
this.
participate in the holiday too.
No, let me rephrase this.
We do
been
not
away
participate in
I've
any
been away
menorah
from-
bullshit.
I've been away from Twitter more than usual.
Got it. I
I have not
totally
scrolled
different way
24/7
to
like I
say
usually do. So my question was, is anyone coming to Matt's defense the last couple days since this shitstorm happened?
Not many. Like
No.
a few shrimp boat captains, and like that's it. Like
What are they saying? Like, oh, he didn't mean it.
No, they say like it's his opinion. It shouldn't like be taken this out of context and like blown up at this scale. It's like his opinion is what he's paid to do. That's the difference between us saying shit and someone on 104.5 saying shit. It's like, yeah, his opinion's going to carry weight and it's going to have influence. So like, yeah, he deserves to be called out on it if it's not true. If it's baseless and if it's like shit that's causing problems and hysteria, so you can sit back and be like, "Oh, I got more clicks." Fuck you. Like if all you're doing is stirring drama for clicks, that's bullshit, dude. Like that's what I'm saying. And so there were like some people I've read, 95% of people are pissed off. 95% of the people are like, we're out of here. Like, Scone, you took it too far. It's because of the denial is why people are like, dude, what? No. Like,
Like he says it. It's the denial, non-denial, denial.
It's
Have y'all
like
heard
you
him say that all the
He
time?
literally said it. And now he's like backtracking and saying he didn't say it and we're all idiots and like taking it out of context. There's a few marching soldiers. I guarantee you half of those are like altars of Matt.
The chat's just killing me. Ain't no way I'd buy a HUD cover.
He's a Bud Light guy. I mean, he's a Bud
So
Light
fun.
guy.
I will say there is nothing funnier than seeing this Bud Light bot. And I don't give a shit about
Oh,
all
I know.
this stuff, but of him,
Dude.
I'm American man. I'm drinking whiskey. It's like, and then to just be like, mock the beverage, Bud Light, baby. It just cracks me up.
He's right. The rant just took the post down, and people were like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure Moscona's an admin."
He has to be. There was a post earlier. I caught it. I caught this post. It was only up for like one full page, but somebody has a family member. Somebody has a family member that works for On3 and says that Underwood's family had to reach out to BK to address the rumor. Like, this is a cat that's signing and are going to commit to a school in a matter of weeks, and he's reaching out to see if this shit's true. Thanks, Scone. Anyway, that thread was whacked. Why? He's an admin.
Weird.
Communistdroppings.com.
Was
Anyway.
it? Do you think it was AI generated of him tweeting and saying that?
No, he didn't even. No, someone screen grabbed that. Like he didn't. Nick Diaz did
It's
that. We can
altered.
cut the music at this point.
Yeah, I think the music's played itself out. I will say it was
Oh, yeah,
funny.
he doesn't
seeing-
read Tiger droppings too. That's always his thing. I don't read the message boards, but it's like, dude, we all fucking read the message boards, dude. We're maniacs. We're fans. Like, we don't live on it, but like, if I'm like, it's a great website. It's Voldemort. It sucks. They hate us. But at the end of the day, if there's going to be thousands of people talking about the same shit that I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm going to peek. I'm going to read it. Like, it's not, it doesn't make you less of a person because you fucking read Tiger droppings. I'm so sick of people that are addicted to that website, like pretending they're not. Anyway.
Facts. No, it was literally felt like Step Brothers. Like, I opened Twitter app and the first tweet that popped up was Nick Diaz, and it was the video clip, and it was just like, I got a belly full of white dog crap, and you're gonna throw this shit on me? And then going back and reading the comments was like fucking Peggy being like, "You're a disgrace." It was so
Yes.
funny, dude.
Peggy was big on defending Matt. Big on defending Matt.
Do not make fun of the Fajoko's Haka or
Oh, yeah.
come at your head coach. Like, those are
Or-
fighting words.
Yeah. And she likes Scone. She does like Scone. So it's a fucking, It's a tipsy. You got to dance.
We're on
Yeah,
a razor's edge here.
yeah. There's a lot going on. Okay, I think enough about that. Brian Kelly's not going to Michigan. Total bullshit rumors that I don't see being true. Let's move on.
It would hurt. That would sting.
That would do me in. That would do me in for some time.
I will say, deep down, there's a very, very strong part of me that would like us to just hire Mark Stoops and beat the fuck out of Texas A&M every year. Like, how fitting would it be to
Stoops wouldn't entertain it, dude. He'd be like, I've been down this road too many times.
That's very true. That's very true. The question in the chat about Kiffin, like, it's hard to not look at like a single season.
I would
Like
take
on the whole thing, I think Lane would probably jump at the LSU job. But like, if you look at all these transfers that he's brought in and look at their schedule next year, it's kind of hard for me to, if I'm Lane Kiffin, to like talk myself out of leaving that 1 year. And it's almost like a Kevin Durant situation where it's like, hey, this job's not going to be here next year. So it's like you kind of have to take it now.
He is
like,
setting himself up for Bama too.
But like Ole Miss should be in the fucking play. Like if you look at their schedule, LSU and Georgia are their only games that like really are legit and matter. And you can lose both those games now and probably be the third best team in the SEC. Let the top two battle it out in the conference championship game. And you just sit quietly and take your 10 seed or 8 seed and get into the playoff. So it's like, that's the thing about Lane. Go look at their schedule. It's a complete clown job. But in general, yeah, I think Lane would jump to take the LSU job and whatever. But I don't think we have to worry about this.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we have a lot of shit in store. I think Brian Kelly wants to win a championship at LSU, and I think he's probably a little not shell shocked, but just like, oh fuck, like I need to get this done like year 3, year 4.
Yeah.
Like, are these people are going to
your term papers? Your term papers already starting to come due. You thought you were just hitting up bogeys and club reg, and and now all of a sudden
I had some time to develop this
classes.
thing. I had some time to develop this thing, but like I got to win now, and I think he wants to do that. That's why he's here.
Luckily, I got Matt House on my side.
Yeah, like I don't see Matt House sticking this through. We'll see. Listen, if he retains Matt House. And then promotes Joe Sloan or Cortez Hankton, there's going to be some concerns. Sunbelt Billy is walking the green mile. Sunbelt Billy, yeah.
If anybody wants to make the bet, I will take whatever action. Like I am positive Billy Napier will not be the head coach of Florida by the time LSU plays Florida.
When do we play Florida?
It's like, dude, they
towards
play
the end of the year.
They play like Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Bama, like in like a 6-week stretch. Something insane.
He's not finishing the season. That's for sure. He's one of the first fired on the carousel for sure. He's going to start a true freshman at quarterback.
Yeah, and then their recruiting class that was like, well, Billy's recruiting his dick off. Like that didn't really go that well.
They just got quarterback. Everybody else left.
Went over to their rival in Georgia. Like things aren't going well in Gainesville. Dan Mullen trolling you on Twitter, you're down bad.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about the playoffs? A little bit about these games? Or do we still have? I mean, I know there was a lot of shit that happened with LSU while we were.
Is there any signing guys that you're Relaford? Obviously, a big. I don't care to do a signing day pod, which is sad because that was a fun time.
No, but we can certainly talk about some of the high-level guys. Caden Durham, the running back from Texas, really good. Like the running backs, like Caleb Jackson is like the bulldog, right, that we've been yearning for. Caden Durham looks like the type of cat that can really take it to what is this ad in the corner? Am I just like I can't that's
the algorithms got Grant. Grant's been looking at holiday gifts for too long. He's been in holiday. He's been on Christmas for a week, Mike.
Home run threat. The type of running back that can, he found a seam up the middle and now he's going to break away from the corner and the safety, right? Like I feel like we've been missing that. And so I really feel like he's going to get a lot of playing time, especially if Diggs leaves. With Caleb Jackson being kind of the lead horse, you're going to have Caden Durham really getting some playing time early, in my opinion, at the running back position, just because he's so electric, but also a big-bodied kid. Funny story, for whatever reason, watching his tape, and this is dumb because there's so many other comparisons, but like I think he looks like Justin Vincent coming out of Barb. There's just something about his running style.
Mike, it's Joe Adai, please. Come on.
And that's I already told you this. So I was on Three's Ponderosa, great message board. It's a cleaner version of Tiger Droppings. But for some reason,
Not for me then.
They still try to like call out Shay and Billy. It's funny. It's like, guys, you're paying them for their takes. You know, they give it to you. It is what it is. Like, they're not going to change it. You're paying them, whatever. But someone was like, any good comps for Caden Durham? And Billy Embody replied with Joseph Adai. And I just replied to that. And I was like, Justin Vincent. And he comes back with like, I'm not trying to get in an argument here. We're passing along information from a very trusted source. It's like, trusted source for a comp to Joe Adai? Like I was just simply giving you my comp. I wasn't like fighting or like arguing. This was just like, I think if we're going to go old school, I think the breakaway, like people forget Justin Vincent coming out of Barb was like fucking sick. Like and like his freshman year at LSU, like he was dynamic home run threat. Like he was a burner and he had some good wiggle to him, ran kind of upright, but he had like the stature to kind of sneak behind the line. Caden Durham kind of has that similar makeup. I just thought that was funny. It's like everyone is so fucking pissed off and like trying to be right. I'm like, dude,
it's like defensive. It's like I just said Joe Adai. That's not I had more comps. It's like, dude, I know we're fine.
Yeah, I was like, dude, Joe Adai's a great comp. Great comp. I'm just saying, like, Justin Vincent is as well. But
let's go Brandon. Like, I'm big Joe guy.
Yeah, my source said Justin Vincent.
Yeah, well, I got boots on the ground in Duncanville, bitch.
Duncanville's
wrong.
Duncanville's a huge recruiting high school that we need to keep a footprint in. DK Moore, the Corian Moore, is the #1 receiver in the nation next year. He's committed to LSU out of Duncanville. Ridiculous. Like, we have to do everything to hold on to this cat for 2025.
Give Hankton's the OC.
Well, you got Sloan getting the quarterback with Underwood. And then you've got the #1 running back in the nation coming out of New Orleans or coming out of Metairie with Harlan Berry. So the 2025 class, you could have the #1 overall player in the country at quarterback. You could have the #1 receiver in the country who's like a top 5 player overall with Moore from Duncanville, and the #1 running back in the country with Harlan Berry. Offensively, behind with the most stacked offensive line depth I have ever seen at this school, by the way. Every year, each class is just quality. There's no more fat sloppies, dude. There's no more like, I'll have seconds on the sloppy joes. These guys are fit. They're strong. Dude,
play the music.
Do you remember watching LSU football the past decade before Brian Kelly got here? Every game, we had a fat guy just barrel rolling on the ground in the middle of the game. Like hurt, fucking limping around, like, give me another plate of fucking nachos. Just slop, dude. They don't even look good in their uniforms. The uniform doesn't fit properly. Skinny legs, little waist, fat stomach. Not
waist and a big
strong.
behind.
Not strong. Yeah, exactly, dude. Fast forward, our whole O-line is fucking studs, like 3 deep. And we're in counting.
With all due respect, not that long ago, we were just like, Daculus is the fucking GOAT, man. Like, Daculus is our guy.
Big Dick Dak, baby.
And that's exactly where I wanted to go, though, because it's like, and Brian Kelly said it in his wrap-up of like, you just described T-Bob.
I feel like T-Bob, to be fair to T-Bob, I feel like T-Bob was like on that final age of like we had some good O linemen, right? We had
Yeah.
Saron Black, we had
Will
T-Bob,
Campbell.
Will-
I mean,
right? Blackwell.
Will Blackwell.
We had some dudes with T-Bob, so I'm not gonna. But like the next decade after T-Bob till recently was just slop fest. No injuries, dude. No fucking like no pussy ball, dude. Like these guys want to be in the trenches all game.
Well,
And
we
you-
got one Lael Collins every 4 years, where we're getting like 2 of those dudes every cycle
year.
now.
Every cycle, and then the quote unquote like smaller dude, like the less ranked guys are like very high 4 stars. Like these are good fucking depth guys. And then at tight end, dude, the tight ends are just elite. Like you have an opportunity for Trades Green. You can cut the music at this point. I'm gonna segue into my next guy. Trades Green. If I'm outside of Caden Durham, staying on the offensive side of the ball, Trades Green is like Calvin Johnson, dude. Like I have a feeling this dude's gonna walk in and play over Pimpton. Like it's gonna be one of those that he's just like out there, and he's not even gonna be a tight end at times. It's gonna be like this dude's 6'7" fucking burner.
We're at the end of the season. We're yeah, and this may be a year or 2 from now, but at some point we're gonna be like, oh, Mason Taylor's not as good as we thought. Like we have like 7 of these guys. You know, it's like we have so many of these freak athlete tight ends coming through where it's like we shit our pants when Mason Taylor came through. And like, you know, I love Mason Taylor. This is no disrespect, but like we're starting to get those dudes where it's like Alabama signed the #1 tight end every year. It felt like forever, where it's like, oh, cool. Like this dude I forgot about because he's been behind guys for 3 years is actually really sick and is going to get taken high in the draft. Like,
side note, like I know we're doing a video. I can't have this light, dude. This is insane. All right, that's better. All right, we're good to go.
You're
Sorry
sweating.
about that. Dude, like that was fucking. I'm sorry, guys. For everybody that needs the bright lights to see us. I'm sorry, dude.
I think it's fine. The Moscona rant needed the spotlight, the interrogation spotlight, but I think you're okay now. You look red.
Yeah, dude. I've just been under this fucking spotlight, dude. I can't do
You got a
this anymore.
sunburn from a light bulb just now.
I mean, dude, it's just in my face. Dude. I need like those circles are so big. Anyway, go ahead, dude.
No, I just it's weird, and you know, every fan base is going to talk themselves into their recruiting class, but it's like I just look at all these like key pieces we pick up, and I'm just like, I don't care if someone wants to rank us 9th or 12th or whatever. Like,
you realize if we sign McKinley, Dominic McKinley, and sign Bussy, the 2 guys we lead for, we catapult to the top 3 class. So like,
yeah, like the
that's the
margins
crazy
are
part.
so thin, and it's like guys are going to end up in the transfer portal out of all of these classes. So it doesn't matter. It's about like your top 10%, your top 20% in all these classes, developing them working out and retaining them. It's not, it's not the days of like, oh, you know, this guy, he's a project, he's a ball of clay, but year 3, like we get him a red shirt, like all that shit's kind of done because you're just going to dance in the portal. Let that dude go somewhere else. And if he does develop into this guy, you probably have another crack at him in 2 years. It's like, get your guys, get your Harold Perkins, get your Will Campbells, your foundational pieces of your team
coming in playing early, you know,
and let the chips fall. You know, it's like that's what you need. We don't need 800 of these dudes. We need a few every year to build, and we'll stack around it.
And so I think that's a great point. I want to mention 2 more cats. So we said Caden Durham and Trades Green offensively. Defensively, in my opinion, Gabriel Relaford, the defensive lineman. He's really like your Savion Jones, Ali Gay defensive end. He's not a jack. He's not a D tackle. He's a true defensive end.
I'm sorry, but R.I.P. Raheem Alem.
R.I.P. Raheem, dude. Al Jones. Sorry,
Al Jones Jr. An absolute disgrace that it took us over an hour into the pod. That's on me.
Yeah,
that one hurt.
That's just odd, dude. It's just weird, like having dudes die. Like coming from a large high school like we came from, like half of our class is dead. But like it's something about like losing college peers where it's kind of just like, oh wow, like you made it to college, with us and you started your life and then now it's over. It definitely is like that. Not the first, but as a football fan that's invested in the game and is in the same age bracket and was there at school with that player, for someone to pass is certainly shocking.
But yeah, I'm sorry I had to derail that. But when you started talking D-line guys and naming guys, it just it hit me. Scary man.
Rest
scary
in peace,
man.
Raheem Alim. Great cat, great motor, defensive end, 84, sick number for a defensive end. Bring back tradish, dude. Bring back the traditional numbers. I'm sick of seeing these baby digits. If you're wearing 0, you better be the fucking man.
You better be Mason Smith good.
Yeah, you better be Mason fucking
At
Smith,
least.
2023. 84 at defensive end is sick, and we need to bring that back. But Gabriel Relaford is a beast. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's a dog. He's a headhunter, very well coached, very respectable kid. Excited as all hell that he's part of our roster. I think he's going to work his tail off and see playing time early. I think he's that type of kid that he is going to be very coachable. And hopefully we have a coach to coach him on the defensive line, or he wouldn't be signing with us. But this is a kid from Louisiana that we almost saw walk away to Texas A&M. And let me tell you something. The 2 top defensive linemen out of the state, both committing to A&M, Dominic McKinley and Gabriel Relaford. We watched this film, and this is not because this dude signed with us. When they both committed, it was like, I want him out of all of them, like the way he plays. And he ended up being the one that flips to us. I still think we have a great shot at flipping Dominic McKinley as well. And I think he does end up a Tiger. But Gabriel Relaford coming in first, he's going to play. And this is a stud. One of those guys that you have to get from the state, especially at a position of need. The other defensive player, in my opinion, haven't seen a lot of guys talk about him, but watching his tape, we have a sick linebacker signing class this year, like very unheralded. Like a lot of people aren't talking about it because it's not like Harold Perkins, but Xavier Adkins looks very, very good. I think he's out of Texas, 4-star linebacker. Little undersized.
Originally from Louisiana.
So this is a dude that's, picture him coming out of a Lafayette school or some shit. We're all over him. This is a Patrick Queen type of player. Fast, hole plugging linebacker that's very quick with his hips. Excited to see Xavier Adkins play for us. And then Jordan Gilbert, the transfer from A&M, coming in at safety, I think is going to be a big help for us pretty early. A Louisiana kid from U High that started for A&M as a freshman, was very successful as a freshman in the SEC for A&M. Looked like oh shit, we were all in on Jacoby Matthews and he spurned us, but at the same time, we lost freaking Jordan Gilbert and he's starting. Gets hurt. Jacoby Matthews takes over for him. Transfers out to LSU. I think we're getting a kid that's better than our safety room at the moment, that can come in and really add some quality depth, but at the same time, maybe even a plug and play starter to replace Burns, who I don't care if he's coming back, is not going to start, and replace Sams, whose last game is going to be on Monday. So recruiting wise, great class as far as quality. There's not a lot of low guys that I'm like, this dude will transfer in a year. Like a lot of dudes that I feel like are just good for what we need. We still have the February signing day. I think Dominic McKinley and Terry Busey, whatever. 2 5-star kids that we have a great shot at. I think it depends on some of these coaching hires and the relationships that they can build in the next month or two, to finish out strong with a top 3 class if we sign those 2 players. So with that being said, go look at the class. Really, really fun highlight videos. Actually, shout out to Matty B from On3. He had a good write-up on each individual player and some video highlights. We obviously don't get paid to take the time to do that. But go check those guys out. but the guys I listed is just kind of the dudes that stood out to me personally from the tape, and also some positions of need that I feel like they could come in and contribute. Someone mentioned in the chat, what do we think of Lacy coming back? Awesome. That's great news. We need listen, I'm an adamant Lacy hater at times. But Kyron
Great
Lacy,
locker room guy though.
great. He's a glue guy, and he's somebody that continues to improve. He does have the dropsies, but for every dropsy he has like a touchdown. Like it's one of those, he redeems himself. And I think it's going to be very big for Nussmeier to have kind of that senior guy that's been there to depend on and be comfortable with to throw the ball up to. I think he's not going to be like your massive playmaker, but he's going to be a guy that needs to start for you next season, especially with a young wide receiver room. So yeah, that's great news.
Shout out in the chat, friends of the program, sending in gifts to the pro. Everyone's cutting it thin during the holiday season, but for someone willing to give back to the pod, Andrew in the chat, thank you.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks,
Andrew.
That's very sweet.
I
was just going to say, Kyron Lacy.
Must be really loud.
It's the lighting. Yeah, it's the lighting.
Damn dogs.
Yeah.
Kyron Lacy just seems so committed to the program.
He's a guy you want. Like, do I want him necessarily going out as the -- wide receiver and the guy we're going to target all the time? I don't know about that.
He's what was Jenkins? What was receiver we just said?
Yeah,
Jeray Jenkins.
Jeray Jenkins. Jeray,
No,
he reminds me of like
that.
Jeray Jenkins, Traven Durrell. Not Traven Durrell. Traven was fast as fuck.
DJ Chark.
I'm thinking DJ Chark.
Stephon Sullivan.
Stephon Sullivan is a perfect like body comparison to what we're getting with Trudez Green. Like imagine Stephon Sullivan, but like with the athleticism of Shelton Sampson. Like that's like a Trudez Green type of situation.
And you said his name. Like I'm hoping guys like Sampson and Parker and Aaron Anderson like can take some of these reps from Lacy and take some of these catches. But I think having him in the room at minimum is really good for the team. I mean, a guy who catches a sick touchdown and is crying because he let down his buddy on the team, like that's the type of dude you want in your locker room. That's the type
100%.
of, I don't remember what they fucking call him, SWAT team. Like that's your SWAT team leader. He's giving speeches in the locker room, holding the players only meetings if they, he's just one of those guys who will not get drafted high, but like will be
he's gonna have
a
an
big
NFL
part of the program.
He's
also,
gonna be like
Grant, you'll love this. You'll really appreciate this. Our kicker that we signed, Aaron Brule or Brule, whatever,
Parkway
stud. I think he walks in and kicks first immediately.
Does on 3 do any GPAs or
he's
smart kid. I don't know, Grant. I don't know.
What's his offer? Yeah, he's a highly rated kicker. I mean, 6'2", 180.
Was it the punters though? The ones
he's living next to your brother, Mike. I think he's from your brother's new hometown.
Minton, Ruston,
Bossier.
Area.
You from Midland? You sound like you're from Midland.
What were you asking?
North Louisiana. No, who were the 4.0 students in your head? Was it the punters or the long snappers, or was it the kickers, or was it just all
originally the first ever 4.0 student on LSU's football team was the punter from West Monroe.
That's right.
He was the first to ever do it. I think there's been a few guys that come through that have, like the punter this year from Notre Dame, or the last couple years from Notre Dame.
Jay
he was 4.0, Bramlett's 4.0. I think Swan from Vandy is a
GPA booster for sure.
He's a huge GPA booster, 4.0 guy, and I think they may not sound like it, but the Weeks brothers, they're pretty close. They're up there.
Witt got himself a haircut. I don't know if anyone saw that. He that's LB1 or 2.
I love it.
Perkins is
he's a super culture fit. That's all that means.
Oh, he's bought in. It's just I would love to see those Christmas pictures with that family.
Oh my God. I'm scrolling. I figured we were about to scroll through to like the playoff, talk about some bowl games and stuff. I didn't realize Georgia was a 17.5 point favorite against Florida State. That's steep.
It's very steep.
I thought it'd been more than that.
Their whole team left.
I know, but it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Like Ohio State and Georgia, like they had like 20 transfers.
It sucks that Liberty. I mean, granted, like maybe Liberty
So
can give them the
stupid.
game,
So
but
stupid.
like, fuck me, do I want to watch Oregon be playing in a bigger name game than Oregon Liberty?
So I spent 3 nights visiting. I delivered a dog. And
Like,
From
wait,
birth?
like as a nurse, like
From birth?
no, delivered it to North Carolina. Did a 12-hour road trip up there. Visited some friends that purchased a puppy from a family member. Drove it up there. Huge Oregon team, like fan, and dude, the Liberty hate. It was just like they were like, "What? Why even have a bowl game?" Like it was.
They
I'm
don't
like, dude.
deserve to be on the field with us type of talk.
But I mean, like, imagine going that season thinking that, like, 1, you're about to have a Heisman Trophy winner and go into the playoffs. 2, we're playing Liberty.
Yep.
Like, they're not in a good headspace right now. So, but Dan Lanning's a great coach, and they're going to be set up for success in the future. Dylan Gabriel transfers to Oregon, so don't really feel too bad for Oregon. They're kind of the staple of the Pac-12 outside of, or not the Pac-12, whatever they call it, outside of Washington. It's Washington and Oregon until you convince me otherwise.
speaking
I
of
don't.
Pac-12,
I don't think Washington has a conference though.
Did they not join? They didn't jump over.
I think
Washington's
they were the
still
only
kinda-
ones, them and
Is it Washington State? And I don't know. I don't know.
or no.
Who knows?
I've given up. Who can say at
Chip,
this point?
Chip Kelly, I thought had a brilliant idea.
Of course.
I thought it was okay. I
It
thought it was
is-
fine. I thought everyone was giving it a little too much praise. Like,
Well, the second
Let's-
anyone says anything outside of like coach talk, it's just like, whoa, they think for
Yeah.
themselves. They said what's on everyone's mind. It's like, well,
But
Why are- what
that's
are we
not the
waiting
perfect
for?
solution. But it's a great
well,
direction to go in. Like,
we're comparing
Basically,
it
his
to
biggest
like a
point was, like,
completely flawed
advertisers.
system.
yeah.
But it's like I don't want the Nike conference and the Adidas conference where we're just selling this
I
out
agree.
even more to then just put more fucking commercials in every game. Like there's some of this, like I don't know. I don't care. We have
I
no
agree.
control
The
over what
main-
happens. I just want it to be entertaining still. Like
The
I just
main
want a
thing
little
is-
bit of my childhood to still be there with college football. That's
the
all.
main thing is football being independent versus other sports made a lot of sense.
100%.
That's the number one thing
Yeah.
that made the most sense.
Yeah,
was football
absolutely.
teams should be able to play in whatever conference they want. I agree with not corporate making it like sponsored every
The
conference.
Amazon League. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, but it might get there one day. But at
But
least
but I think the
you know.
point in that speech being kind of like, oh, wow, he's got a great point. It's not just what you said, Grant, but the fact that he lumped in those large advertising
Yeah.
corporations, because that's the only way that anything's going to change is if you include the money. And so it's like, hey,
Right.
if this is what the problem is.
right.
This is what we could do as well. If that's going to get y'all moving in that direction, because right now there is no governing body. No one respects the NCAA. No one takes this shit seriously. The rules change by the day. And the conferences are just out of control, but you have this beautiful product. Like that's the craziest thing about college football is that it's so flawed, but still the best sport in America. Like it doesn't matter what's on TV if college football, if there's a big college football game and you do it right, where you set the stage correctly, everyone's tuning in. Everyone's going to tune in and be a part of it. The only rival is NFL playoffs and like the Super Bowl. Outside of that, college football rules. So you have the opportunity to organize it, not make it better, but like make it less fucking up in the air on what direction we're going.
Well,
You can't tell me what college football is going to look like in 5 years. I can tell you exactly what the NFL is going to look like in 5
Yeah.
years.
The thought that high level college football is like in any realm on the same plane of pick whatever sport. You can pick college basketball, but tennis, golf, all
College
of these
baseball.
other college sports, baseball, like it's a complete joke. Like it just has to be its own separate thing. It's too big of an animal at this point to just act like we're all amateur athletes here, especially when you're like, hey, we're gonna play 9 or 10 of these SEC games every year, then play a conference championship, and then you know what, buddy? How about you sign up for 4 more playoff games on
more.
top of that? Like we're we're getting to a point where just something has to change.
It needs to be like
at
the
a high
NFL.
level.
It needs to be the big boys against the big boys. We're not playing any more cupcakes. It's just the fucking pound,
The NFL G League.
It's the NFL, dude. You're
But
playing the
better.
fucking heavy hitters of the SEC twice. And the majority, like the top fucking echelon of that crew is going to go into the playoffs. We're not going to have any more fucking conference championships. I did hear a fun proposition. I forgot who this was from. It might have been Danny Cannell. I can't remember. But talked about conference championships being a play-in, almost like the wild card game for the teams that are not the conference champion, obviously, but like kind of like how we do with the tournament with baseball, the tournament with basketball. And it's an extra game for that wild card team to make a case for the playoff instead of having a true conference championship where, hey, fuck, I'm the number 1 seed, but if I lose this game, I'm fucked, where the other teams behind me didn't have to play it, right?
Yeah,
So
I think that's
what would that look like? Like, give an example of that.
I don't know. Like in this case, Georgia, Alabama are all in the playoffs. They might have a bye or whatever. And Ole Miss has to play for the conference championship against, I don't know, fucking
So they're
LSU.
already
And
they
they're-
don't, like Georgia and Bama aren't playing for a conference championship.
No.
essentially.
No. And so it wouldn't really be a conference championship. It would be more of a wild card
Play-in,
game,
yeah.
but it would take the place of that week.
I
kinda
just
like a-
think I just think if you're gonna play Texas, Bama, Auburn, LSU, Oklahoma,
You know who's in.
like you don't need. What are we gonna do? Then just be like, we're still not sure about Ole Miss.
No,
Let's
you don't need it.
Let them play. It's like I think you just have to get rid of these conference championship games. Like I just think that's an extra game that brings no value to anyone playing in them for the most part. But I also think you have to get rid of all these like automatic qualifiers because we're just going to be put in this spot where it's like in March Madness, there's so many teams that it doesn't matter that Lehigh is a shitty team and wins their tournament and sneaks in and this 14 seed. But it's like, I don't know, man. There's so many problems. Like, I don't want all these random ADs being like, I actually think Oregon's number 10. Why?
Right.
Well, you know what I said about the number 8 team? I'm actually going to use the opposite criteria to tell you why I think number 10 is number 10. It's like
Right.
we're just getting in this, and it's like everyone's saying it now of like, well, if you're fighting for the 12th seed, I'm just not going to care. You could have earned it. And I'm like, that's easy to say now until your team has only lost to Alabama and Georgia, and they have 3 other shitty teams from the Big 10 and Big 12 ahead of you when you're ringing it's like, I don't know. There's just going to be so many weird things come up.
So there's a lot of games starting tomorrow all the way through the playoffs. Do you
We're
want to
finally
talk about
we're finally
those?
into like real bowl games. Like
Yeah.
I haven't. It's been a bit
'Cause
of
I-
grind.
I feel like
Tomorrow's the first ranked team, I think. That
right. Was it USC?
Louisville and
against
USC
Louisville,
and to A&M and Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
And
State.
Tulane plays tomorrow, but
I don't think we should go through all those games and do our picks. I think we should just
No.
stick to the playoffs, because I don't know who the fuck's playing for Georgia. I don't know who's playing for Ohio State. Like it's tough to like pick those type. It's more of an end game type of like, ooh, who's prepared, who's playing, and then you throw some bets in game. I think the playoffs, you can predict that, and I think that's where we should go. You guys, we can do whatever we want, but
Yeah, I know. I don't care to. It's like at this point, bowl games. It's like I just saw USC Louisville, and I'm like, I don't know who's playing for USC. I don't know what to pick in this game.
Who's their
Dude,
quarterback?
That line is
Uh,
Louisville 7, which kind of seems crazy to me.
I just hope that there's a couple interesting bowl games for us to watch. Maybe throw some in-game bets on leading up to it, but
Yeah,
definitely excited for the playoff.
It'd be fun to watch Oklahoma State take it to A&M. Like that'd be exciting. I'd love to see Missouri make a run against Ohio State. That'd be fun. But at the end of the day, Michigan versus Bama and Washington versus Texas.
It is crazy.
A couple great games.
It's crazy to think that either Washington or Texas will be playing for the national championship.
Yep.
Like if this was split somehow, it's so funny on FanDuel too, because it says number 5 Alabama against Michigan.
Yeah.
Like what a chef's kiss. But yeah, I don't know. It's like if Michigan were playing Texas and Alabama were playing Washington, I think we'd all be like, well, Alabama, Michigan for the title. But like looking at it now, you're just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know you said you already sprinkled a little Jim Harbaugh Michigan -1.
I think Michigan's my team to win the whole thing.
I think the winner of that game wins the whole thing.
Yes, I agree. I think the winner of the Michigan-Alabama game wins the whole thing, and I'm leaning Michigan at the moment. I think Michigan is the better football team if they were playing middle of the season. I think you give Nick Saban this amount of time to prepare his animals, those motherfuckers are going to come out and play a game.
I don't think Michigan can beat Alabama the way they've been beating people this year. Like I just don't think you bully Alabama and you say, "Hey man, our quarterback's throwing for 12 yards, but we're going to run it all over your fucking face." I don't see that happening.
I think Jim Harbaugh leaves college football a champion. And I think this is the year he gets it done.
What a stud! Brian Kelly walks right into a ready, turnkey program.
Right? No, I think before the story is finished and finally written on Jim Harbaugh's time at Michigan, he's gonna win a fucking playoff game. And I think it was this 3 in a row now that they've been in the playoffs. Like this, if you're going to beat Georgia, if you're going to beat Bama, if you're going to beat Ohio State, which they've done it 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row, is it 3 now? Then I think if you're going to knock off the other 2, this is your best shot at knocking off Alabama. Yep. If it's going to happen in the playoffs, this is the team that you're going to beat. A team that almost lost to Auburn, a team that lost to Texas, a team that was struggling heavily against South Florida. Like this is not a perfect Alabama team. Is this an Alabama team that can win the national championship? 100%. Yes. I think if any year it gets done, this is the year Michigan pulls it off. They're favored by 1.5. I have a feeling it's going to be a close game. If it's down to the wire in the fourth quarter, there's just something about the Michigan story. And I get caught up in that fantasy world where I feel like Jim Harbaugh pulls out an upset, even though he's favored. So yeah, I sprinkled a little bit on the 1.5. That's my pick.
So Mike, I don't know if Brett told you, we're going to actually go to the Texas-Washington game.
Where is that?
It's in New Orleans.
Oh, it's at the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Grant's trading in his gift card to the golf course so we can buy tickets on Game Time app. So
shout out.
That's actually Grant. A sponsor. Let's play the music.
Shout out Grant. Shout out Game Time. If you're looking for tickets and you need to get into a game, a concert, a music hall, a comedy show, go see Shane Gillis live in Austin, right in Mike's former backyard. You want to use Game Time. Use the promo code POG for 25% off your already extremely cheapest ticket you're ever going to buy for a sporting event. Are you tired of getting butt fucked by Ticketmaster? Not anymore with the Game Time app. Use promo code POG. That's the Game Time app, GAMETIME. That's GameTimeApp.com.
That's awesome. There's in my opinion, you can cut it. You can decrease. Great. You can fade. Great. I love the Sugar Bowl. Regardless of who's playing in it, it's a great time. I think Brett and I have been to like a couple of them.
Oh, we went to that Michigan Virginia Tech game. That was so much fun that year. That was actually 2011 when we lost the national championship in that same building like a week later. But that was a really fun time.
And then we went and we saw
Oklahoma,
beat
Alabama.
Alabama.
Trevor Knight. Shout out Trevor Knight. We got housed.
Yes. The Sugar Bowl is just always a fun time. So that you really going, Grant? Washington versus Texas?
Oh, no.
I saw the signs
so
driving
fun.
back from Patterson today of
Okay.
each team, billboards and all. Hook 'em horns in New Orleans.
Just to circle back to the Michigan game, I'm going to be rooting every ounce in my body for Michigan, but I also just very much remember kind of buying into the hype a couple years ago. It's like Mike was all in on Michigan. We were going to do a Twitter space for the game, and I was like, I like Michigan too. I'm going to bet Michigan. We're going to ride this out together. And just butt fucking. And I was like, never again will I be fooled by one of these Michigan type teams play. And it's not fair. The Michigan team is a different team than it was 2 years ago. Blah, blah, blah.
It's not smart. It's not smart.
Gouge my eyes out, because we're going to have 2 weeks of hearing about the best coaching job in Nick Saban's career. Mike doesn't even have his headphones plugged in. Best coaching job of Nick Saban's career. Like, shoot me. But I'm just not. If you made me make a bet on this game, I would probably tease both the dogs. I would go Bama 7.5, whatever that gets you, and Washington 10.5. But like, I can't take Michigan here with the points.
Okay.
Portnoy got $1 million on it. That's not going to go well.
I know.
Yeah, he's 0 for his last. Well, I think
he won one.
That's
NFL.
Minnesota. He won today.
No, it was NFL picks. He's 0 for his last 6, I think.
But no, it should be a fun game. I'm very excited to watch. Trust me, I will be. I might buy a Michigan shirt to wear, like all in on Michigan winning the game. But I'll send you one.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it would be awesome for college football to see Michigan succeed, because they're not really a threat to us.
America's team.
Yeah, absolutely. America's team, Michigan. It's just the chaos of Michigan, the craziness of Jim Harbaugh, the Connor Stallions.
Oh, I love it. Nothing would make me happier than Jim Harbaugh full in a cheating scandal, winning a national championship, and immediately bailing like that.
Riding off to the Chargers.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then for Brian Kelly to go there and still never win a title, like chef's kiss.
Grant, who you got?
Didn't know we were going to him.
Didn't know we were making picks.
Yeah. All right. In Bama, Michigan, is that what we're picking?
That's where we are in the show. Yeah.
Hey, he's been Christmasing for a week, Mike. Give him a break.
I'll take Bama. I'm seeing -2, but I guess it's not.
I was just on FanDuel and it was 1.5, and then it was 4.5 for the next game.
Seeing red again. So you're seeing red.
Yeah.
All right, I get it, and I'm with you. I understand that it's a dumb bet, but I did bet.
No, it's not. I just
the
thing is, I win either way. Like if Bama covers, I win.
Right. Life edge.
Bama doesn't, I win because I want Michigan to win. I just
Washington, Texas is a funky one for me. It's less clear. Dude, part of me feels like Vegas wants me to pound Washington. Like they want me to jump on that, and I am. Like I really like Washington here, but it's scary because like I feel like that's what they want you to do. And I don't want Texas to come out and be like, holy fuck, Quinn Ewers is the next big shot. He's the guy coming back next year and being touted for the Heisman because he beat the hell out of Penix in Washington. And yeah, he lost in the national championship, but Texas is the team this season. That's kind of what I see happening in 25 if it goes Texas's way. There's just something about Washington in that defense. It's not just Penix in the offense that's rolling. They're physical. Like the dismantling of Oregon was extremely impressive.
And that game was looked closer than it really ever was.
Yeah, like they were way more physical than Oregon, and Oregon, in my opinion, is a physical team. So you take that with a senior laden Penix, big Penix energy. I like Washington in the points. I think I might tease it a little bit more just to be safe. I was that 4.5.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think all I really want is a very entertaining game. I very much feel like one of these teams, and I don't know who, is going to be the team that just lays an egg. And it's going to be like a non interesting 42-20 type of game. Like, I really feel like that's coming. And I can convince myself that Washington is going to be the team that's like, oh, everyone thought they were really good, but like Texas is actually legit. And then I could also see Texas just like almost, flashbacks to 15 years ago now of like first play, first drive of the game, quarterback gets hurt. And it's like, well, fuck, this game's over. Like, I just have the weird feeling that this is not going to be this super entertaining game. And that's all I want. Like, if you made me bet it, I think I would bet Washington in a tease. But if you made me bet the line, I think I would take Texas.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Okay, so you have Texas. I have Washington.
I'll take Texas at 4.5.
I've got Washington.
Okay.
I just want a good game. I want Michigan to beat Alabama by 1,000, and then I want to watch the best game since USC Texas in the nightcap in the Sugar Bowl. That's my dream.
Michigan Washington national championship would be pretty cool.
It would be kind of sick.
It'd be pretty cool. Great.
We'd be hammering Michigan all week. Hammering Michigan.
A Bama Texas national championship would be absolutely miserable.
It would be absolutely miserable. I just
I don't see it. Saban avenges his loss for the best college football season in the history of mankind.
For some reason, I just don't see that being the championship. I feel like it's too easy, like
too storybooky.
It's too scripted if that's the case. I think it's gonna have to be either Bama. I mean, it's either Bama, Washington, or it's going to be, Michigan.
Texas, Michigan.
Yeah. Or Texas, Michigan. Yeah. Like one or the other. Like I don't see both of those teams being involved. That's the world I live in, dude. Like it's just what have I seen before? What could history tell us? But at the same time, like it can't be exact history. Like we can't fucking have this beautiful of a Texas versus Alabama, Texas entering the SEC. That whole thing. Like it's just I'm gonna be nauseous by the time they fucking kick off.
A pro of the 12-team playoff for me, and there's not a ton of them for me, but we're at least going to get some like quality games earlier instead of like taking a full month off to just been like, okay, let's fire back up college football. And then 8 days later, they're going to play again for a championship after 6 weeks off. Like, I think we'll at least get a better schedule going into next year. Cause I feel like college football was a month ago. And we're still a week out from like the big games. Like that's fucking bowl game has happened.
No, and that's what all these coaching changes, rumors like that's when it just sucks. Because you're like, oh, we're not really going to do anything till after the bowl season. It's like, my God, dude, it's like a fucking month.
We're going to be in spring practice before bowl season's up.
Like, I want to know who's fucking setting up the locker room next year, dude. Like, who's putting the pads together? Like, I want to know staffing changes. I want to know rosters, who's leaving, who's starting. Like, I want it, and I want it now. But obviously, we need to be patient.
Somebody mentioned, I just saw that this would suck, by the way. Bama didn't hire their offense or defensive coordinators, both of them, last year until February.
Were you listening to the pod?
You said that already?
Like you don't listen to the podcast.
You have to hang on every word, dude. You have to sit there quietly and hang on every word. I did mention that.
So I'm citing Mike from earlier. So I just didn't know if y'all had heard that.
Bilbo Baggins posted that.
I didn't know if y'all heard that. But
please credit at Pot of Gold if you ever in this podcast mention it again.
I got nothing else.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of things we missed because so much shit happened. But R.I.P.
Florida State did make the playoff. We haven't even recorded.
I think we did talk about that. I think we did talk about.
We just talked about it at Christmas.
No, I think the selection show. did we
I
not-
think we've podcasted before. I mean, I don't know.
I was kidding. We
I
don't
don't
need
need
to
a
dive
month.
into
I don't
that.
need a
It's-
month-old take. I do think it's kind of bullshit to go
It's
It's
undefeated.
bullshit. Florida State needs to be in the playoffs, but
It's like, well, Bama is Bama. Like they
Then
beat
why
a
are we
really
playing
good
the
Auburn
games?
team.
why are we playing the games?
We
What do the
definitely
games
did this
mean?
already?
Yeah, we did this.
The
Florida
games you're
State.
playing-
Florida State deserves to be in. Do I think Bama would beat Florida State? Yeah, that's not the point. Like upsets happen.
Man's
So-
got to have a code.
Upsets happen. They gained the fucking opportunity. Like that's the whole point of football, dude. You have fucking David and Goliath, dude. Every now and then, David fucking smacks you between the eyes. And
That's why we're taking Liberty in the points. Lock of the week.
and on what bigger stage? Like, can you imagine being a Florida State fan right now where you've waited so long for this moment? You finally pull it off or you get that chance. I don't care if you're playing fucking Danny Etling at quarterback or Andrew Hatch. You have the opportunity. That defense is sick. Give them the opportunity. And they don't get it because, well, you know, without their quarterback, they're not as good as the other teams, and the other teams earned it just as much. No, they went undefeated. The other teams had had a loss. It's over. I mean, it is what it is.
I think we should run this back every podcast.
The music.
No, well, that too, maybe. That might be the new
We have to
season.
New season
Might-
is definitely music, but like we got to coordinate it.
The only
Where
problem
it's-
is the music is unpredictable when I play it. It's on a shuffle that I can't get out of.
Where are you getting this? Is this
From
In
Restream.
Restream, yeah.
okay?
They're new features that
And
you're
the
paying
music
for,
tab.
Mike.
Thanks, guys.
This is that upgraded enhanced.
And we just would like
bitrate.
to thank all of our Patreon supporters that pay Pot of Gold on a weekly basis.
All right.
Nah, we don't take any else money. We do this for fun. We
We're
appreciate
here
it.
for the vibes.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out. Next time we'll be talking about the national championship and hopefully some coaching changes. But with that, you guys have a wonderful holiday, a great end to your week, and a happy
And
new
let
year.
us,
Yeah,
let us
happy
be
new
the
year.
first to wish you a happy new year.
Happy New Year, guys.
From our family to yours.